So children, today we are going to recapitulate this poem, A Thing of Beauty by John Keats. As I told you, A Thing of Beauty is a beautiful poem by John Keats. It's an excerpt from his epic poem, Endymion, a poetic romance. Now, the main theme of the poem here is that a beautiful thing is a source of joy for all and forever. Beauty has its eternity which never fades away. It's eternal. A beautiful thing is like a shady shelter which gives us a sleep full of sweet dreams, good health, and relaxation. Right? I'm straight away coming to the passage. One by one, I'm going to read out the passage and I'm going to give you the explanation. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Now, here the poet says that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. It gives joy all the time. Rather, it never fades away. Its beauty, its loveliness increases. Its beauty or its loveliness, it increases day by day. It will never pass into nothingness. It will never go into nothingness. See, here the poet is referring to eternal beauty. He is not restricting himself to female beauty. Obviously, that is not eternal. Human beauty is till the time the person is living. Once a person is dead, the beauty fades away, the beauty diminishes. It's all over, right? Perhaps here the poet is talking about the beauty of nature. The natural beauty, the beauty created by Almighty. A thing of beauty is its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness. It never goes into nothingness. Rather, it will keep on increasing. It holds a bower quiet for us. A bower is a shady place under the tree, right? So beauty holds a bower which is very quiet, very peaceful for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams, and gives us a sleep which is full of sweet dreams, health, and quiet breathing. Means it is like a beautiful shady tree under whose shade all the creatures can sleep peacefully and enjoy good health. The sleep which the beauty gives is very calm, it's very soothing, right? So it is very relaxing. So that is what the impact of a beautiful thing upon all the creatures. Okay. Now the literary devices used here, alliteration as the use of consonant sound at the start of the two words which are there, sleep sweet, sleep sweet. So this you can find here, sleep for full of sweet dreams. Sleep sweet is not actually together, so you cannot actually call it a proper alliteration here. Metaphor, yes, the bower. It is compared to bower, so this is a metaphor used here, right? Chaliye, let's move on to the next stanza. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth. Spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth, of noble natures, of gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over-darkened ways made for our searching, yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirit. Therefore, on every morrow, morrow here is, we use the word morrow for the next day. Generally, we say tomorrow when it is for the following day. So it is here also referring to the following day. Therefore, on every morrow, every day, every next day, are we wreathing? Are we encircled or are we surrounded by a flowery band? Again, the beautiful nature. When we move out, we find every morning, every next day, we find greenery everywhere, plants everywhere, the beauty of nature everywhere, right? Rivers flowing. We people live in plains, we people live in towns and cities, which is crowded by buildings and loud traffic and everything. We do not get such things. But if we open up our eyes in amidst the nature, when we go for a vacation in a hill station or somewhere, you feel that mornings are so refreshing. You feel like getting up early in the morning and going for a nature walk. That's the beauty of nature. That is what we call, which is eternal, and it never fades away, as the poet mentioned in the first stanza. So, on every morrow are we wreathing? Wreathing here means surrounded or encircled. A flowery band to bind us to the earth. So, a flowery band is there which binds us, which connects us to the earth. Earth here is talking, he is talking about the nature again. Spite of despondence of the inhuman dirt. Despondence here is referred as depression, sadness of the inhuman dirt, of the human activities, of noble natures, of the gloomy days. Of noble natures, of gloomy days here is of the sad days. So what the poet here wants to say is that it is the beauty which builds a desire to in us to live. There are sad moments and cruel people around us. So in spite of the depression, sadness, and inhuman dirt, cruelty of the people, of noble natures. Noble natures, he is talking about the without beauty of the earth, we will be full of cruel people, sad and gloomy days. It is a beauty which is created by God, which help us to remove the sadness from our hearts. Right? So some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirit. So some shape of beauty removes that sadness from our dark spirits. I'm repeating this stanza once again. Please pay attention. Spite of despondence of inhuman dirt, in spite of sadness and the cruelty of noble natures, of the gloomy days, of the sad days, of all unhealthy and over-darkened ways. Unhealthy ways, over-darkened ways, that is again bad practices which people have been following, various, you can say, behaviors of the people made for us searching, yes, in spite of all these, um, cruelty, sadness, depression, in spite of all these things, there is some shape of beauty which takes away that sadness away from our dark spirits, that drag us away from the sadness, from that depression, right? Am I clear with this stanza?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Obviously, here imagery is used, creating a sensory effect of beautiful things. Flowery band, where it is, it's imagery. Then it is also metaphor. Flowery band is again a metaphor, right? That's the two things which are more important here. Use of same word into consecutive line of noble natures. Noble natures is also alliteration, and band bind is again alliteration. Let's move on to the third stanza. Now, such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon. For simple sheep and such are daffodils, with the green world they live in, and clear rills, that for themselves a cooling covert make, against the hot season, the mid-forest break. By now, it's very clear to us that when Keats is talking about a thing of beauty, he is not at all talking about human beauty. He's just talking about nature. Keats has admired, he has appreciated nature in many of his poems, right? So here we also find he's talking about various things. It's about flowery band, the greenery everywhere, the sun, the moon, these things, everything he's relating it to the nature only. Such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon. Boon is like a blessing. They are sprouting a shady blessings they are giving. For simple sheep in such are daffodils, simple sheep which is going moving, and daffodils. We all know daffodils are name of flowers. With the green world they live in, and they're living in that green world, and clear rills. Rills is a small stream, a small river, you can say, that for themselves a cooling covert make, and they make them for themselves a cooling covert. Covert is a kind of, you can say, a place to live in. Against the hot season, the mid forest break. So in between they take a break, they pause in a cooling covert in a shady place against the hot season, and that mid-forest break while they are walking in the woods, while they're walking in the forest, that is the break they take a pause, they rest, they relax in that cooling covert, right? So here we find that the poet describes the beautiful things which are present on the earth, the sun, the moon, the trees, the flowers, whether he's referring to daffodils, and the rills, that is streams or rivers. He says that all these things are like a blessing bestowed on all the creatures by earth. Actually, nature is a blessing which we people have, but the nature replies back when we do not value it. When we do not value the beauty of nature, what all things nature is giving us, starting from food to all things of utilities, also essentials like wood, paper, everything we are getting from the nature, right? But when we do not value it and we rather try to deteriorate it by pollution and all, we are deteriorating the nature. What else we are doing it? We are not paying it back. We're not taking care of it. We're not appreciating that beauty, right? We are not trying to enhance that beauty by adding on more trees. We are deteriorating it by pollution, by the industrial waste that comes into our clear rills, right? So here he is talking about that these are the sun, the moon, the trees, the flowers, and the rivers. All these things are like blessings bestowed on all the creatures by the earth. He describes that the trees provide us with the shade, flowers with the beauty, and rivers with their coolness during their hot summers. So covert is what the shade, the coolness, these things are providing us. The trees provide us shade, the flowers give us that beauty, they give that soothing effect, and the rivers also give their coolness during the hot summers when because of these things the sheep, the moving sheep and other creatures, they take against the hot season, they take a mid forest break and they relax themselves. Okay, let me move on further. Coming to the next stanza. Rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms. Fair musk rose blooms is the name of a flower, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms. We have imagined for the mighty dead all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heaven spring. Please mark this stanza. This stanza is very important from both point of view. Many times this question in RTC form has been there in your board examination. So this is important one. Okay. So, rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms. Grandeur here is referred to the higher rank, or which is socially important. Now, the poet here gives a description of the beautiful things present on the earth, such as beautiful musk roses, which have such a nice fragrance. Roses, the fragrance of roses is actually, it's very pleasant, right? He describes the tales of the mighty warriors, and such too is the grandeur of the dooms, importance of the dooms of the warriors. We have imagined for the mighty dead, right? Now, these warriors have laid their lives for their countries or for the sake of humanity. Now, he says that these beautiful things are the gifts by God, from God for all of us, right? We have imagined for the mighty dead. Now, all lovely tales that we have heard or read. Now, lovely tales, he's talking about the great people, right? Whose tales of bravery, or who have actually laid their lives for the honor of the nation, right? We have all lovely tales which we have heard or read. They are like endless fountain of immortal drink. They are like the nectar pouring onto us from heaven's spring, just like nectar. That nectar, we all understand what nectar is. It's that flowers liquid which comes from the flower is known as nectar. So these tales of great warriors, great people who have done big deeds for the betterment of mankind, for the nations. These tales are like nectar, right? They are like a nectar given by God to us. And these are those beauties which are immortal and give us a reason to live on this earth, despite having so many sorrows in our life. Now, here we find in this stanza, the poet is comparing the beauty of nature to the great deeds done by the great warriors or the courageous people who laid their lives for the sake of humanity or for the sake of their nation. Right? So he says that these beautiful things are the gifts from God for all of us. They are like a nectar given by God to us, and they are those beauties which are immortal. Now, immortal drink means these beauties are immortal. They will never die. Their beauty will never fade away, whether it is nature or whether it is the strength, the courage which we get from the mighty dead who laid their life for the sake of humanity or for the sake of the nation. So this immortal drink is pouring upon us from the heaven. So this is a blessing by God. And this gives us a reason to smile and to wipe away sorrows from our life. Am I clear with this stanza? Please, if this stanza is not clear, let me know so that I can repeat it.
Clear, ma'am.
Okay. That's it. We have finished with the poem. Okay, I want one of you to read out the summary. Once again, it will give you the entire gist of the poem. Any one of you can please read it out. Shivangi, kindly read it.
Yes, ma'am. The summary of the poem A Thing of Beauty is given below. A Thing of Beauty is a poem taken from the poem titled Endymion, a poetic romance written by the famous poet John Keats. The poet says that a beautiful thing is a source of endless joy. It has eternal beauty which never fades away. A beautiful thing is like a shady shelter which gives us a sleep full of sweet dreams, good health, and relaxation. Our attachments to the earthly things are like a flowery breath. They are traps which bind us to the materialistic things and keep us away from eternal happiness. The earth is full of hatred, greed, and negativity. According to the poet, the gloom and sadness caused by this negativity fades away with the positive vibes of the beautiful things that surround us. The poet lists out some of the beautiful things that surround us. As As the saying goes, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. He says that the numerous creations of God, like the sun which gives us energy, the moon's beauty, the trees which gives us shade, are natural beauties around us. The various animals like sheep that surround us make our world lively. The pretty flowers like daffodils makes the world green and lively. The flowing streams of water cool and refresh us in the hot summer season. The forests, which are full of the pretty musk rose flowers, are a beautiful sight to the eye. All these are the things of beauty. Also, the stories of the brave soldiers who laid their life to protect their people are beautiful and inspiring. These beautiful things are like a fountain of immorality bestowed upon us by the God. They inspire us to live on and maintain our faith in goodness.
Okay. We can stop here.